Hi everybody, happy Monday, and we're here doing Clues by Sam again. If you don't know what Clues by Sam is, it is a daily puzzle. Today's is an easy one, but it changes in difficulty along the week, and in it we have 20 people on a board. Each of them may be a criminal or an innocent, and you gotta review their roles with the help of the clues that they themselves give you. And if you want to try to play it as well, today's is an easy one, so it's nice to start with it. If you've never played it before, there is a link in the description to take you to it, and I'm also here to play it with you and explain my logic as I go. So I'm gonna start right now, but I'm also gonna play the bonus puzzle, the hardest one from last week, later. So first we start with this one. Let's go. We start with Ivan telling us that Dana is one of Claire's 3 innocent neighbors. So where's Claire? Claire has Ivan as an innocent neighbor, Dana is the second one, and there is a third one. Now, Dana tells us that there is only one innocent to the right of Eric, and that innocent is Ivan, which means that both Floyd and Gary are criminals. And since Claire has to have a third innocent, that has to be Betty. Now we don't need any of these clues anymore. Now Betty says exactly 2 innocents in column C are neighboring Kumar. Well, Kumar has 3 people neighboring him in column C. One of them is already a criminal, so the 2 innocents have to be the other 2 people. And now Lisa tells us that Martin is one of 4 innocents in column D. So column D has 4 innocents. Already 3 of them are revealed. And Martin says that both innocents below Claire are connected. So there's only 2 innocents below Claire, and we already know who they are. So Will is not one of them. Now, Will says that column C is the only column with exactly 2 criminals. We know that there has to be a 4th innocent in column D. So that makes either Tina or Zoe an innocent and the other one a criminal. And column C already has 2 criminals, Gary and Will, which means that Claire, who is also in column C, has to be an innocent. Now Claire says that Will has exactly 4 innocent neighbors. Where's Will? Will has 5 neighbors total, and we already know that one of them is gonna be a criminal here in column D, so the other ones have to be innocents to make 4. Now, since we know that column C is the only column with exactly 2 criminals, and column B would have 2 criminals if Kumar were a criminal as well, that makes him an innocent, otherwise column B would have 2 criminals. Now, Rob, not Bob. Rob says that both innocents below Austin are connected. So there's only 2 innocents below Austin, which makes 2 criminals. And like we said before, column A couldn't have 2 criminals only, so that makes Austin the 3rd criminal in that column. And now Austin says that only one row has exactly 1 criminal. And that row is his row 1. So how does that work? We know that Joy couldn't be a criminal. Otherwise, row 3 would also have only 1 criminal, just like row 1. So Joy has to be an innocent. Now Joy says that there's an equal number of innocents in rows 3 and 4. Innocents. So you know that row 4 has only innocents as well. That makes both Tina and Ollie innocents. And that because of Tina, Zoe is a criminal. Now, how do we work? Oh, we know that both Eric and Uma are criminals because there's 2 criminals below Austin. Nice. Good. Easy one. 311. Very nice. I like this one. Very fast. I'm enjoying the easy ones lately. And because I haven't been making any mistakes on them, probably, but that was it. And we go for the evil one from last week's. So, this is January 26th evil one. We get bonus puzzles in the newsletter that comes to our email every week. So this one is the evil one. I'm gonna do this one only with you guys, but if you have any requests for any other ones, just drop me in the comments and I'll try my best to do them. But we're gonna reset this one now just to get the timing right. And we start with Tom. Tom says that Luigi is one of Peter's 6 criminal neighbors. So Luigi is a criminal. Peter has 8 neighbors total. 6 of them are criminals, which means that 2 of them are innocents. Now Luigi says that exactly 2 of the 4 innocents neighboring Rose. So Rose has 4 innocents neighboring her. And 2 of them are below Barb. And below Barb, there's 3 people neighboring Rose. 1 of them is already a criminal, which means that for 2 of them to be innocents, Peter and Vince both have to be innocents. And now Rose has only 1 more innocent neighbor to be found. Now, Peter says there are more criminals in row 2 than row 5. Okay. And Vince says that all criminals below Donna are connected. So how do we have to think of that? We know that Peter has only 2 innocent neighbors, which means that Rose couldn't be an innocent. Why? If she were an innocent, she would be the second and last innocent neighbor for Peter, which would make both Maria and Wanda criminals. And now Maria and Wanda, as well as Rose, are below Donna, and 2 of them are criminals but not connected. So Rose couldn't be an innocent. That makes sense? Now Rose says there are more innocents in row 2 than row 3. Okay. So there are more criminals in row 2 than row 5. And there are more innocents in row 2 than row 3. That is gonna be interesting. We know that Rose has 4 innocent neighbors and 4 criminal neighbors. We have a third innocent neighbor for Rose. Where do we put it? Could it be that either Maria or Wanda are innocent? And then all other neighbors of Peter are criminals. Because Rose and Peter share the innocent neighbor. Their last innocent neighbor. That'll make Nick and Tom criminals. Now, what does Rose say? More innocents in row 2 than row 3. Row 3 has 1 innocent. That'll make it so that in row 2, there has to be at least 2 innocents. But there are more criminals in row 2 than row 5. And row 5 now has 3 innocents, 3 criminals. But we just said that there's 2 innocents in row 2, which makes row 2 have 2 criminals. So that wouldn't work. Maria couldn't be here. Could it be the opposite? Could Wanda be an innocent and Maria a criminal? Now, to be more innocents in row 2 than row 3, there has to be at least 1 innocent, which could happen. If there's 1 innocent in row 3, in row 2, sorry, and 2 innocents in row 5, then row 2 would have more criminals than row 5, because row 5 only has 2. Row 2 would have 3. So we know that the last innocent is in row 5, right? Are we sure that that innocent is Wanda? Could it, for example, be Nick? No, let's continue with the row 5 theme. Let's make Zed an innocent and Wanda a criminal. Now Rose has her last innocent neighbor. But Peter still needs one. Could it be Uma? I mean, it could. If it were Uma, row 2 would be able to have more innocents than row 3 by having 1 innocent only. And by having 1 innocent only, row 2 would also have more criminals than row 5, because there's only 1 criminal in row 5. I'm not sure I'm doing the right thing here. I'm thinking. Could Olaf be an Incen? If Olaf is an Incen, does everybody else work? I mean, yeah. If there's only one Incen in row 2. I'm not forgetting that the puzzle is evil, so could Karen be an Incen then? And Olaf a criminal? Now we have an issue, don't we? Because row 2 would have to have at least 2 innocents. And row 5 already has 2 innocents. So in this scenario, there's no way for row 2 to have more criminals in row 5. I think Karen couldn't ever be an innocent. Yeah. That makes sense, right? Because if Karen, let's say that we start with Karen. If Karen is an innocent, that's Peter's criminal neighbors all solved. Which makes rows have to have at least one innocent here. It couldn't be Nick, because now row 2 would have to have 3 innocents. And with 3 innocents, it's impossible for row 2 to have more criminals than row 5. But if Nick were a criminal and Zed an innocent, row 2 would have to have 2 innocents to have more than row 3. And with 2 innocents, there's no way for it to have more criminals in row 5. So yeah, Karen couldn't be an innocent ever. Okay, clear the tags. Karen now says there are 13 criminals in total. So we'll work with it again. We know that Peter is gonna have three more criminals, right? And can I work my way back again with like Uma? Can I make Uma an innocent? If she's an innocent, that's Olaf and Wanda and Maria, all criminals. Does the same scenario apply? Because maybe Zed now could be an innocent, right? That could work. Because row 2 will be able to have more innocents than row 3 and more criminals than row 5. That's possible. But if Nick were an innocent and Zed a criminal, then that wouldn't work. Because now Nick makes row 2 have to have at least 2 innocents. And that's the same as row 5. So that doesn't work. Does it work if Uma is a criminal and Olaf is an innocent? Then it does. Because now row 2 will have more. Oh no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. Because row 2 has to have 2 innocents anyway. And that makes it have only 2 criminals. So there's no way for row 2 to have more criminals than row 5. It's either gonna have the same number or less than that. So Nick couldn't be an innocent either. That makes a lot of sense. Irving and I have only one innocent neighbor in common. So either Hilda or Janet, that's good information. Either Hilda or Janet are an innocent and the other one's a criminal. Okay. Can we work with Zed now? Or have we figured out that Z could be an instant? If Z's an instant, then that's Wanda and Maria being criminals? Now if Olaf is an instant and Uma is a criminal, Maria, there's no instance in row 3, but there's one in row 2, so that's more instance in row 2 than row 3. And if there's only one instant in row 2, that's more criminals than row 5, so that could work. That could be an instant. Could Uma be an instant then? If Uma is an instant, then Z would have to be an instant, and now there's 3 instants in row 5. Since there's no instance in row 3, it's very easy for row 2 to have both more instances in row 3 and more criminals in row 5. So yeah, Uma could be an instant. That's okay. Could Maria be an instant now? If she is, then everybody else here is a criminal. Now, row 2 would have to have a second criminal. A second innocent, sorry. That would either be Flora or Gus. But since row 2 would have to have a second innocent, that makes it have only 2 criminals. And 2 criminals is less than the 3 criminals in row 5. So that wouldn't work. Maria then couldn't be an innocent. Now, that is great. Who's the next person we look at? Rose says, okay, not Rose. Maria says only one row has exactly 1 criminal. Interesting. We don't know about that yet. But I don't think it's any of these. Because have we tried making Olaf an instant? If Olaf is an instant, then Z would have to be an instant, right? Because that's the last instant neighbor for Peter. So Z would have to be an instant. Now both of these guys will be criminals. And that's 3 criminals in row 2, while there's only 2 in row 5, so that works. And 1 instant is more than 0, so the scenario works. And there's only 1 row with 1 criminal right here. But if, let's say that Wanda is an instant then. If she is, everybody else is a criminal here. None of these rows have only 1 criminal. There are 2 criminals in row 5, 3 criminals in row 2. And 1 instant in row 2 that's more than the 0 that we have in row 3. So that works. How many criminals do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we would need 3 more in row 1, which could work. But then we wouldn't have any rows with 1 criminal. Alright? There's 3 criminals in row 1, 2 criminals, 3 criminals in row 2, 4 criminals in row 3, 2 criminals in row 4, and 2 criminals in row 5, so this doesn't work. Ooh, I'm kind of afraid that this is the scenario I have to go with. Wanda. And I just confirmed that Olaf and Zed could both be innocents, right? And if both of them are innocents, there's 2 criminals in row 5. So row 4 would be the only row with 1 criminal only. Not enough evidence. See, I was afraid of that and I was right. Not enough, not enough. Now I fear that I use the option of trying Wanda as kind of a clutch. And I don't like that. But that's okay. Because I want to do this speedy, so we can try cutting corners sometimes. Let's try to make Uma an innocent. Have I tried that? Oh yeah, I did, because then Zed would be an innocent. And then we would have 1 row with 1 criminal. That's row 5. I think... Let me go back through the clues again. So all criminals below Donna are connected. That's okay. There's no way for them not to be anymore. There are more criminals in row 2 than row 5. Yeah, we've been working with that. There are more innocents in row 2 than 3. That's okay. There is gonna be. Luigi is one of Peter's 6 criminal neighbors. Yeah. So there's 2 more to be found. Only 1 innocent here. 1 who has exactly 1 criminal. 2 of the 4 innocent neighboring rows are below Barb. So we know that Wanda and Zed are one or the other. That's an important thing to remember. Let's make them orange. And there are 13 criminals in total. Okay. Should have gone through the clues before. So let's try again. Let's try making Wanda an innocent, because I tried that before, right? Yeah. And I came to the conclusion that she could be an innocent. But if Zed is an innocent and she's a criminal, then these 2 are one or the other. And if Uma is a criminal, that'll make Olaf be an innocent, which works. But if Uma is an innocent, that'll make Olaf a criminal, which also works. So what am I missing? If these 2 are one or the other, if this is the scenario, Olaf is an innocent, Uma is a criminal. No, I might have to be right back. Hey, I'm back. So where was I? Oh yeah, if this is the scenario, we have 1 row with 1 criminal only. And row 2 would have to have 3 criminals, which would make these 2 criminals. How many criminals do we have already in this situation? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we would need 3 up here again, which works. Did I miscount before when I was doing Wanda? I think I did. I think I did. Luigi is one of Peter's 6 criminal neighbors. Have I tried Uma again? If Uma is an instant, we know that Z has to be an instant. That makes one a criminal, and that works. Now, column 5, row 5 is the one with only one criminal. Row 4 has 2 criminals, that's okay. And row 2 has to have at least 2 criminals, which it can. How many criminals do we have total now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I think I did miscount. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure where I have to look. Not sure. More criminals in row 2 than row 5. And we know. For instance, neighboring rows. Yeah. Only one row has exactly one criminal. I mean, does it have to be row 4? Can Olaf be a criminal? We've tried that. That makes Uma and Z instants. That's what we just tried. And that works. But then there will be no rows with one innocent or one criminal only. Because now row 2 has to have at least 2 criminals. Let's say it does. How many criminals do we have? 1, 2, 3. Oh, but Wanda is a single criminal in row 5, so that works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we could have all criminals here. We don't know about that. So that works. And row 5 is the only one with one criminal only. Just as it works if Olaf is an innocent. Because now row 4 is the only column. The only row with one criminal only. And it is possible for row 2 to have more criminals. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we would need 3 more here. So does that mean that Olaf and Wanda are one or the other? And if they are one or the other, Uma is always a criminal. Nope. It means that Olaf and Uma are one or the other. Because if Wanda is an innocent, oh my god, you must be screaming at me at this point. Because if Wanda is an innocent, then these two are criminals and Olaf is a criminal. And now there's no rows with a single criminal. So Wanda has to be a criminal. And that's what I got wrong last time. I tried her as an innocent because of the tag. Was that it? So that's how many criminals now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we would need at least 2 more in row 1. So there's no rows with one criminal only. Which makes Wanda a criminal for sure. So that's what I got wrong last time. That's okay. I can deal with that. Now Z says that only one of the 2 instances in column A is Flora's neighbor. So either Andre, column, not row. Only one of the two innocents in column A is Flora's neighbor. Flora is in column A, and she has two people neighboring her in column A, one of which is already a criminal. So the other one has to be an innocent. Second one is down here for sure. So that makes Flora herself a criminal. What else? We didn't get any new clues. Oh, I guess now we try Uma as a criminal and Olaf as an innocent. Because if this is the case, Gus has to be a criminal. If this is not the case, though, Gus wouldn't need to be a criminal. He could be an innocent. So is that what I have to look at? If Gus is not a criminal, can he not be a criminal? Can he be an innocent? Because if this is the case down here in row 5, only Wanda is a criminal, then row 2 would have to have only 2 criminals. That would work. But how many criminals do we have total now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There would be no way for it to be 13. So Gus has to be a criminal. Now we know that only one column has exactly 2 criminals. So that goes between column D and column B. Because the other ones are not possible. Let's see. Huh. Do we make... Now we know for sure that that row 2 is gonna have more criminals than row 5. There's no way for it to have less. So that clue doesn't help us anymore. We know that one of these rows is gonna have exactly 1 criminal. Which means that there's no way for row 1 to have only 1 criminal. That's okay. Can we make Erwin a criminal? What is the clue? Only one column has exactly 2 criminals. So let's try making Janet an innocent. Okay. I guess we have to look at Barb. Because if Barb is an innocent, how many criminals do we have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wait a minute. How many criminals do we have now total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we know for sure that all of these guys are gonna be criminals. Okay, that was easy. What about these two then? Because now we know that there's only one column of exactly 2 criminals. And that means the row column D has to have 2 criminals, because if Janet is a criminal and Hilda is an innocent, there's no way any row could have only 2 criminals, because column A is gonna have 3 criminals for sure. So Janet has to be an innocent. Wow, this one is evil. There are exactly 2 criminals above Uma. Well, those are Flora and Karen, so that makes Olaf an innocent and Uma a criminal. Whew. That yellow there was Fair. But this one, yeah, half an hour. I love the evil ones. I love them. I love them. They really make you think. And I love that this one was. It used a lot of the there's only one row with that, or there's only one column with that, to mean that not that you gotta disambiguate something, but that you gotta look at if you do something, will there be any rows or columns that could even be that single one? Did you get my point? Like, it's not that you have many rows that could be the one, is that you have to have at least one. And if you do something a certain way, then you might not even have any rows that could be the one. I think I make it harder trying to explain it. But that will be it for today. That went long enough, and I thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you did play the evil one, how it went for you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for more Clues by Sam. So, bye bye.